All right, welcome to the City of Norman Oversight Meeting for August 14th, 2025. The first item on the agenda is an update from City Care on the operations at the emergency shelter. I recognize Mallory to present.
Hello, everybody. It is a pleasure to be here. My name is Mallory Lee. I'm the shelter director, and to my left is Sean Lloyd. He is the senior director of homeless services for City Care. I'll be presenting the slides today, so if you could just follow along with me. I think everybody has slides. We'll go ahead and start. If you take a look at the table I have here, this shows the nights of rest, our nightly average, and the unique individuals that we've served over time. Our nights of rest, as you can see, was over 10,000 nights of rest. Our nightly average is 54. We have 52 guests nightly. We do leave an open bed for if the police have an emergency, if there's a domestic violence situation. And we also had the large capacity of numbers during the time that we had the winter storm for a certain amount of time. So we do have some times we go over a little over on the limit, but we usually stay close to 52. Unique individuals identifies the unduplicated number of people that we serve at the shelter. The point in time count I'd like to kind of bring to the front this year for Norman was 213 experiencing homelessness with 74 unsheltered. We've recorded 297 unique individuals coming through our shelter, which indicates, potential need for increased capacity down the road, and just kind of shows that the need is still there for this shelter being present and in place here in Norman. This also kind of shuts down a little bit on the interactions when they're off the street, when they come into our shelter at night, can be them from interactions with the police and local business owners and stuff as well. On the next slide is our housing connections year to date. Get it stuck. We are looking to expand our housing opportunities here in Norman. We've successfully housed 16 of the individuals that we've had with us. 18 of the veterans that we've served has been kind of a primary focus. We've housed 6 of those individuals, and we are actually in the process of housing and transitioning 6 more of those individuals into housing. We've used resources such as the VA and HUD-VASH to get those partnerships going, as well as other community resources like the COC and partnerships with other community entities. We also have implemented the tracking system and HMIS business objectives, which allows us to monitor all the incidents, referrals, number of individuals transitioning into housing, and various points of advocacy. In July alone, we had 14 chat assessments done, which in total would bring us to 128 assessments for the year.
Can I ask, I don't know the acronym, but what does CHAT stand for?
They're coordinated housing assessments. They let us know the vulnerability of the person to prioritize who's going to get the housing resources first.
So it's like a triage of needs.
Basically, yes. I'd also like to add that the documentation resources, barriers that we have when we have our guests come in, a lot of them don't have documents. They don't have IDs, birth certificates, driver's license, tribal IDs, things like this. And so we try to build partnerships with local entities. Right now we have a partnership with McFarland and First Presbyterian Church in regards to helping with vouchers to get IDs for our guests. And because of the vouchers for housing is kind of shut down, it's a long waiting list. They're still serving people from last year. This has become kind of a barrier. So getting these documents and having the funding available to receive these documents to move forward to get these people into housing is a big barrier for us because we don't have the funds at the moment to provide as many birth certificates and social security cards and things like that that we need for these guests. A lot of them come in, they don't have any of these things. They've been lost, they've been stolen, or they never had them to begin with. So we want to make sure that we have this kind of funding down the road, so when this comes up, we're able to provide these documents for these people.
And can I ask what the estimated budget or financial need
would be?
Yeah, like what does it cost generally to replace all of what's needed? I mean, like, can you get by with just a driver's license or a birth certificate, or you need all of them to get into housing?
That's a great question. It's about $20 to get a new ID. Actually, it's been a while since I got one. I don't remember. It might be 25 now.
25.
Yeah, it's $25 to get an ID. Usually birth certificates are about $40. And social security cards, sometimes we can provide documentation that shows the person is experiencing homelessness and we can get them for free. And sometimes we can't. But you need all three things to go into housing. If you're applying for housing at like Norman Housing Authority, for instance, you have to have all three of those items. Now, if someone's going into a private-owned entity, then it's possible that they could provide less of those documents and still be housed. So it's roughly a little under $100 to get somebody doc ready.
And does Real ID factor into this or not?
Actually, that's a whole new
ballgame.
ballgame.
Yeah.
Is that, I forget how much that costs, but
I
that
think
could
it was
be
like $89.
Yeah, I think it is too.
so that potentially might be an increase in cost on IDs.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right.
We've made some applications as well for ESG funds and some other funds that we hope will come in place to start to cover those items as our partnership or money with the churches start to run out. And we're just kind of waiting on word of award on those ESG funds. So hopefully we'll get them. It's promising.
Councilmember Hinkle?
In the past, careful,
Who sits in this chair?
me. In the past, the Norman Rotary clubs have funded some ID fairs. And so that may be something that we could ask them for if they would put some money up to do that. Just as a immediate kind of resource, and then we can look at some longer term stuff down the road.
That's a great
That
option.
is a great option.
Yeah, we'd love to coordinate with that any way possible.
5 rotaries, so.
Okay.
Also with the resource fair that gets held quarterly, is that an opportunity for people to get some of those documents for free or not?
Are you talking about the one that was at the well? I attended that and I did not see any resources that offered any of those services. I walked around to the tables. We actually had a table there as well. But I don't recall anybody that was there.
Sometimes they do have it. It'd be good to maybe connect with the person who was providing that.
Yeah, I'll look into it.
That and sometimes like warrant cleaning opportunities happen. Like I know those happen in Oklahoma City. I'd be willing to bet they happen here as well.
We've had them. I don't know how regular they are. Okay, does that also help with somebody getting into housing, the warrant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, because if you're filling out a background check, it will come up that you have an active warrant, and they're not likely to say yes.
So your municipal record is available to them as well.
Yes.
Got it.
Depending on how well their background check system functions, and it tends to be the more expensive, better background you get, the more information you get.
All right. Any more questions before we continue? No? Okay.
Just to wrap up the housing part, one solution that we do have is we do a shared housing kind of solution. We partner people that kind of are friends or have a relationship in our guest community and put them in houses together just to make it more affordable and kind of expedite the placement. That way we can kind of get them on their feet and moving into housing. You go to the next slide. These are gender and age gaps. Looking at the gender and age breakdown, the majority of our shelter stays have been by men, which was 188, and 102 by women with 7 non-binary guests. The groups largest were 35 to 44 years of age, followed by 45 to 54, then 55 to 64. Looking back, we had 37 guests receiving or eligible for SSI. We had 33 guests receiving 33 guests receiving or eligible for SSDI. So we are focusing on our case management to secure benefits and stable income for these guests that qualify for these. One of the things when they come in, we do intake processes with these assessments as well and find out what documents they do have, what programs they're involved in, what benefits they are receiving, and this is kind of top of the list. We want to know what kind of income they have. If they're eligible for any of these benefits, we kind of get them on a fast track in order to get them in there to get started receiving these funds. Let's see. Demographics for the shelter. We have the mental health disorders. We had 170 guests with these disorders, as well as 29 guests with developmental disabilities, and 121 guests with requiring ADA compliant housing. Knowing these statistics and knowing these numbers lets us know what we're looking for when we're putting these people into housing. It focuses on, okay, we need an ADA compliant housing situation. What kind of funds can we bring in to help put this person into housing? What can we receive in regards to helping this person get in a placement? So all these numbers that we have here are self-reported. They have the medical documentation usually to back up when they have reported that they are mental health disorders or developmental disorders or physical disorders. That way, when we move them into their placement, we have this to back up their claims.
It'll qualify people for housing options that you wouldn't qualify for if you don't have documentation of disability. And so for some of our folks, that's one of the main focuses immediately to be doc ready is to get that documentation in place and to prove how much time they've experienced homelessness, so if they're chronic or if they're literally homeless.
So these are the provider referrals. Our goal is to identify additional trends that allow us to track where each referral or point of advocacy is directed. Our advocates are trained to recognize needs for mental health services, physical medical assistance, and to address food insecurity. In this report, we referred some statistics. There have been 38 referrals to DHS, primarily for SNAP benefits, and 36 referrals to Norman Community Health for mental health services. When people come in, like I said, when we do the assessment, the biggest thing is wanting to know, where are you getting your food from? Are you are you needing mental health services? Can we get you set up for your doctor's appointments or where you need to get set up for? Let's get you signed up for food benefits. That way, when you come in, you can go and get food before you come in to have something to eat. We always try to follow up with these things so when it happens, we can reach out to these people and make sure that this is set up properly. We have the Norman Community Mental Health. There is a task force that we actually recently joined that connects us with a lot of the other mental health organizations in the community. That way, when something comes up, we're able to provide referrals to those people from our guests to go and aid whatever situation they're dealing with. So that's one of the biggest things when it comes to this. Did you have anything you want to add?
No, but this does give us an idea of where we do lack sometimes with services here. There's a high number of mental health services and a high number of DHS services, so that tells us that we could beef up our mental health services and our food and nutrition services. We also have a high number of referrals to food and shelter for daytime options. And so I know that we've talked some about a potential long-term shelter being a residential shelter being 24 hours. And I think we could see some of those numbers start to come down if we could provide those daytime options as well.
I have a question about the diversion hub option. Is that mostly women who are getting referred?
Yes. Yes.
Are there diversion hub options that address men in Norman yet?
Not that I'm aware of off the top of my head. We've only been referring women.
We've been working with Diversion Hub for many years in Oklahoma City. And so as soon as there is a men's option for us to explore, we'll definitely let you know.
Okay.
Unless you know something we don't, and then you need to let us know.
Yeah.
I'm aware there's gender discrepancy on those services.
Yeah.
So I would love to see an option for men as well. And then my other question is about Veterans Affairs. There's 13 there. Is there housing through the VA for these 13 referrals? Or are there other challenges when they're identified veterans? It's just not as easy as getting into housing because the VA's.
Actually, it's the opposite. If somebody is a veteran, there's avenues for us to help them get housed that there's not for civilians. which there should be, right? Like,
Yeah.
but we usually use SSVF for housement placing, and we use the VA to get all those things in line that we're gonna need, like possible disability letter or length of time homelessness, or get them connected to physical health needs as well.
So in the 128 chat assessments, you know, those veterans are kind of in the queue for the getting housed graph, as it were.
Mhm.
Okay. Councilmember Hinkle?
Do you guys reach out at all to the Del K Graham Veterans Foundation?
Who is that?
It's Del K Graham Veterans Foundation.
I love it every time you raise your hand because you throw us another resource. So you just wanna like come hang out with us for a while?
Yeah, I mean, we can go around and we can.
What is Del Grey what?
It's the Del K Graham Veterans Foundation. It's over at West Lindsay and South Berry. They've been around for a long time, but they help veterans get their benefits. And so if you have a veteran that comes through that needs resources, they're good.
Okay. We've been bringing somebody from SSVF from Oklahoma City out to do that exact thing, but if we could get both angles, that would,
I would bet you
Probably
that Del K,
expedited.
yeah,
Del K Graham is probably faster and more accurate than anybody
Perfect.
else.
okay.
That'd be great. That would be
And they run as a nonprofit, so they have some additional funds that they can help
Oh,
with
that would be wonderful.
little things.
All right, any other questions about provider referrals?
Okay. Okay. So the Norman SPC PSH, I don't want to confuse that. The Norman Shelter Plus Care Permanent Supportive Housing Program was operated by Hope Community Services. It is now under the Norman City Care Program. It is a program that helps people who've been homeless chronically and are living with a disability, whether it's a mental condition, physical condition, or chronic illness. And we've recently acquired it, and we are managing 12 formerly homeless clients living in apartments throughout Norman and Cleveland County. City Care is providing with assistance with rent payment, supportive services to help individuals achieve self-sufficiency, and financial independence. Our acquisition of this program will expedite our engagement with landlords in the community and create more housing opportunities for our shelter and our guests. We took over this program here recently.
July 1st.
Recently is July 1st, and it's just getting off the ground, so we will update you as we continue to work on that, but it's been working out pretty well so far. So I think that's pretty much all I have with that. Last but not least, we're excited to let you know that we've launched our Norman Volunteer Platform. It is now active. You can go to City Care volunteer opportunities on the website. We do conduct background checks. We have them go over training videos, make sure that they're suitable for the position that they are in, and we get them set up. We log their hours. We also can set them up for community service hours and log everything that they need to be logged. We also are in need of furniture for our guests that we are housing. So if you know anybody who's donating furniture or have donated furniture yourself, please email Maggie at citycareokc.org. She will be taking that information. Also, we have got, I cannot see this. Yeah, well, I have it right here. I can do that. I would like to offer anybody who knows anyone, or if any of you individuals would like to come for a tour, we will be hosting tours throughout the year. So if you want to come and view what we're working with at the shelter and just kind of see how things are developing and just kind of get an insight on how we do things, please reach out. You can reach out to me or Sean or anybody at City Care, and we'll get that set up for you whenever it works in your favor. So if you have,
Oh, sorry.
no, go for it.
A question on the age, is there an age requirement on volunteering?
Yes, you have to be an adult, you have to be 18 years
18
old.
plus,
Yeah.
okay.
We will tour, so if there's like school groups or youth groups that want to tour and learn, we will tour with them during non-business hours, but we don't let them come in to serve.
Do you all have a warehouse or anything like that where if somebody had a huge donation of furniture or anything like that, you would be able to house it yourself till you needed it?
We technically have some city buildings over here that we function in that we may be able to ask if we could use some of that storage space to store some of those items, but we don't have like, we don't have a warehouse, no.
Gotcha.
Another thought too, I guess when students are moving out in the spring, there might be
Yeah.
a coordinated
Yes.
outreach to different properties that are housing a bunch of them and see if there's some donations to gain.
Especially if y'all was able to go pick them up from the houses for 'em.
Yeah,
Probably
that's
really
true.
do that.
I mean, we're not above that.
That's what,
Yeah,
we
we would.
want you to do
We would
that.
do that.
We're not above that. We are a little particular about what we take, you know, we don't, if it's really worn or it's had 9 students in it the last 9 years, then we probably won't take it. But
I'm thinking more of the center city neighborhoods.
Yeah.
yeah.
Especially they buy it new and use it for 6 months.
Yeah.
Leave it on the
Yeah.
curb.
Yeah, so we would be game, yes.
Yeah, okay. Are there other questions for city care?
Anything about the shelter?
I was gonna say, I love the breakdown of information. I don't know, how feasible this is, but I am curious where people are coming from in our systems of care or justice. So, like, if people, you can tell who's coming from jail, who's coming from mental health services, hospitals, or any other, systems of care that are working here.
We
that-
do ask the question, where you stayed yesterday, and it is something that's tracked in HMIS. It would just say an institution. It wouldn't break down, if it was jail or what kind of institution it was, or shelter, but we could maybe run a survey for a set amount of time and just ask those questions and maybe find out some information around if they were local before and where they were at before they came to us, if you'd like. And just, I mean, thank God we've got this ability to figure out any data we want, right? So if we want to run a survey, let's do it. If you guys would like that info, we'll get it for you.
I have a feeling what Mayor Holman's next question is, but I'll let him ask it.
Yes, so now that the county of Cleveland County has entered into an agreement with Oklahoma City Police Department to house municipal inmates from Oklahoma City, it could be valuable for us to know if that does lead to
The timing is.
more people coming to the shelter because they get dropped off in Norman and don't go back to PC.
I know that, I don't know this to be fact now, so I do know that Cleveland County used to rent space from Pot County before they built the jail out here by the plant. And I think used to, if you were arrested by Cleveland County and transported to Pot County or Pottawatomie County, at release, they had to transport you back. I don't know if that's in your contract for,
That's not us, it's the county.
okay.
It's not in your contract.
Yeah.
It's
No, I
not,
asked that
okay.
question to one and it's not in their
So
contract.
let's figure it out.
So, I mean, yeah, if it is something that's noticeable, people are showing up and saying, yeah, I was arrested by OKCPD and I ended up in Cleveland County, whatever that means.
Right.
Whatever it looks like.
I think it's a good sign that if your jail was built to scale and you're getting to rent part of it out to another county, that's a good sign your crime rates are doing well, right?
It's a way for them to get rid of a certain clientele too, if they wanted to abuse that situation.
Yeah. Okay,
So that would be helpful.
so let's survey that. Let's put together a survey for where people are coming from, if they exited jail or incarceration, what county they came from.
And also, if you could add on there,
Make a
like,
job for 'em.
when you're asking about how they got here and everything, if you can kind of keep track if they maybe mention the states of Texas and Louisiana. I
Okay.
work security for the health system here,
Okay,
and a bunch of my new people, clients that come in and everything, suffering from this and everything. I always say, where you from, where do you sleep, whatever,
Right.
stuff like that. And a lot of them, when you break it down, say, I just got off the bus from Texas, got
Okay.
off the bus from Louisiana. So
Okay.
all of my new ones have usually that same spiel when they come in.
okay, so let's track state, let's track city, let's track where it was.
Just find us randomly. That's
You guys got any more questions you want us to track? Because we'll just put a simple jot form together that'll compile the data for us, and we'll just ask every single person who comes in.
That was kind of where I was leaning for data in future presentations.
Sure.
And then just, advanced preparedness is great. So just a fall winter plan for next time to talk about what challenges and needs we'll have. I know we amended the contract so that you can serve food and it's not a big thing.
Yes.
But yeah, just try and get that going.
One other question I had too. Do you, with part of your resources that you give clients and everything as they're leaving or going out for the day, you said you had a partnership a little bit with McFarland. Do y'all use the resource page as almost a gift handout to each client that you serve and everything, so they have that full city list of every resource available?
We have it there. There's, the men have a bulletin board, the women have a bulletin board, and there's 2 bulletin boards when you walk in. And it's hung up on the bulletin board, and they're also given a copy when they sign up, when they first come in for their intake, so everybody should have a copy.
All right, well, I don't have any more questions. Are there any more? Mayor Holman?
Not for the shelter, but just in related to homeless services. Can we work in an update on cleanup crew, team,
Yes.
any other related things that we have in the oven right now that we're working on?
Yeah, that was on
Okay.
Yep.
my,
Okay,
Next month, that's the next topic.
all right.
any more questions? All right, well, thank you,
Thank
City
you.
Mayor.
Thank you, guys.
And next we have discussion of public restrooms in city parks and the transit center, and I'd like to recognize staff for a presentation.
Jason Olson, Parks and Recreation Director, to give you an update on restroom facilities at both the Transit Center and Andrews Park. As I think y'all do know, the facilities do fall underneath us, so the restroom problems that was happening over at the Transit Center, we did work to help mitigate that. So just threw a quick picture up there if make sure everybody knows what the Transit Center looks like. It's over there a little bit farther down Main Street in Crawford, I think, pretty close to Porter. So here over the past year, just kind of go real quick through the problems we were having out there at the restroom. Just a reminder that the Transit Center opened in October of '23. Water waste lines were replaced and a grinder pump was installed later in October. To early December, there was a lot of decay in the pipes, and you're going to see this as a kind of a running theme through both here and Andrews Park. Rusting, flaking, causing debris to be caught in those pipes and resulting in some flooding. Issues with the restrooms continued, revolving around items being flushed down the restroom, and that's the reason we're trying to stick those grinder pumps on there. So if there are some of the things that do get flushed, hopefully those grinder pumps can catch and grind, and then it can go farther down the sewer lines. Facility maintenance installed a new type of toilet, and you're like, why does that matter? There are different toilets with different water pressures that we can get in there that would help move things farther down the line once they enter in there. It just depends on what kind of flow that you have in there. That helps a lot. Currently, the lobby, well, actually this changed. Got a text from Taylor a little bit earlier today that we were having problems with the door out there. The handicap actuator that opens and closes the door was causing not only that portion of the door to fail, but we thought it was a danger to the public because the door could close and injure on somebody. So they did have the lobby closed for about a week and a half. That did get repaired today. Taylor, are you opening for business? You already back open? Perfect. And the restroom, when the lobby is open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. That coincides with the security that we provide by a third-party contractor through Embark that stays on site. And that's just kind of a real quick rundown of what's been going over there at Transit Center. Once again, we have had some issues with that restroom. It did close for a while. It even had flooding with that was caused by that toilet at the end of last year. That has been mitigated, repaired. We did put grinder pumps on there, and we'll talk about this a little bit later down the line. The sewer line that is that's connected to the building that runs to the main sewer line needs to be replaced. So that will eventually need to show up in a future capital project. Andrews Park, a little bit of history about the restrooms that are out there. The Andrews Park building, which is actually older than 1973, was renovated to add the restrooms in 1973. We did close the restrooms permanently in May of 2022. We had temporary restrooms, AKA porta potties, that were placed in Andrews Park. We had those in there about 6 months before all the vendors. We went through 3 vendors that eventually told us they would no longer place temporary restrooms on a semi-permanent basis out there. They will place them for events, but not permanently out there, just because of the things that were going into the toilet that made it really unsafe for their driver that would come and clean that out a few times a week. Another problem that we have is currently the 4-inch iron pipe. It's a residential pipe. You have to remember this was put in the 1970s. Right now, a 4-inch pipe, even if it was PVC, would be considered what they normally put in a residential unit. This was an iron pipe, which starts, the longer you have this iron pipe in there, the more it rusts, and the more longer it's in there, the smaller it gets inside. So we're having numerous clogs in that bathroom, not to mention what was trying to be flushed down those toilets out there. If we do ever redo that restroom out there, we would go through there and replace everything with a 6-inch PVC pipe and add a grinder pump to that. Also like to point out, and I don't, if anybody remembers the old Andrews restrooms, they are not ADA standard. So, and I don't think we could get them to ADA standard. They are very, very small. This is one of the big things and one of the problems that we had going on out there. The line of sight for the Andrews restrooms is absolutely terrible. I would say it's probably blocked about 80% around. So when you're designing a park, one of the most important features you can have in any park design is line of sight. You want to make sure that every single thing of asset in that park is viewable by the public at all times, and that helps to helps out with Good Samaritans if there is an issue. That helps out with any kind of safety you have. That helps prevent vandalism. The list kind of goes on and on about line of sight issues. So when we start talking about vandalism of the Andrews restrooms, there is a certain kind of vandalism that we kind of attached to these restrooms, what I would say was above and beyond what we were normally seeing out at our other restrooms. I would say in a typical year, we have restrooms, I think, stretch across 9 parks. And those outdoor restrooms would probably see anywhere between 40 to 60 instances of vandalism. That vandalism could be anything from graffiti to toilet paper dispensers ripped off the wall to things being flushed in the toilets. It's just people coming in there and ripping trash cans out or something like that. When you start talking about the types of vandalism that was happening inside of the Andrews Park restrooms, it would be anything from we had an explosive device that was placed in there that if somebody was in the bathroom when that went off, they would have died and probably got killed. It also set fire to the restrooms. We also had people going in there and defecating on the floor and stomping on it and rubbing it all over the walls, and that becomes a health safety violation or toxic cleanup for our employees at that point. We had people going in there and locking themselves in there, and not only locking themselves in there, barricading the door where we could not get them out. I think there was several times we had to remove the door to get the people out of that restroom. And just like I said, the height of things that were going on in there was a little bit different. We had several complaints because of line of sight issues when we had children going to the restroom, that they were people were trapping them inside the restroom or talking to them as they were trying to leave the restroom. And if you had 2 kids with you, one of them's playing at the splash pad and the other one needs to go to the restroom, we went out there and looked today, you lose complete sight of either way. If you're inside the bathrooms, you lose complete sight of the splash pads. If you're splash pads, you would lose complete sight of the restrooms. So all of these kind of decisions kind of mixing in together, and I kind of make us wanted to close down for public safety and employee safety at the exact same time that we were having these issues about cleaning up needles and human waste inside the restroom. We were also having a lot of issues with employee consultations with our union about cleaning up homeless sites. And these were, usually a consultation is what you have before you head into a grievance. And the determination that we were having during these consultations about keeping up homeless sites, that we were going to lose if this does go to a grievance. We were sending people out there without the proper training, without the proper protective equipment to clean out there, and it was just hard for us to keep up. We thought that mixed into what was happening at the same time at Andrews Park. We just made a determination it's probably better to keep these rooms, these restrooms, which are small, don't have the correct plumbing in there to what would be the standards of things that are happening in there or what's being flushed, people locking themselves in, line of sight, employee safety. Just decided a bomb going off in there or an explosive device that set fire to the restrooms at one point. We decided it's probably just best to keep those closed. Our alternative at that time, even though it's not a perfect solution, was we would tell people when they had a rental, the closest restroom available would be the police station, which are open extended hours from what City Hall is. And I think Officer McCorder can correct me, but I think they're closed on Sundays at this point. I think there was a point they were open on Sundays, but I think they're closed now. So right now at Andrews Park, that's probably our best and most consistent option. Might have placed it in there twice. So just so y'all know where the location of the restrooms are, this is a full map of Andrews Park. Right there in the middle, you do have that little yellow dot. And I probably put these a little bit out of order. We were trying to go through there and find the history of some of this stuff, and because of our emails archiving from 2022, we weren't able to find a whole lot of pictures. We did find one of our emails from our vendors that basically banned us from setting out semi-permanent bathrooms out into there, and these are just the kind of things that you would typically see. Those are the things that were getting flushed. That second picture, that round thing right there is actually a foam bed that was stuffed in there inside the toilet. So when if y'all don't know how porta potties are cleaned out, these guys come with big old vacuums and they suck everything out and then they wash it out. So what would happen when they're pretty regularly pulling out beds or pillows or clothing devices, sleeping bags that would clog up the vacuum, so that would force that worker to actually have to put his hands on human waste, which was probably not what you particularly want to do at that time, and that would clog it up. So like I said, we had 3 vendors that within 90 days that we went through told us that they want to do it. And there's more than 3 vendors in the Oklahoma City area, but news quickly spread among the other vendors, and we could not find anybody out there to put restrooms out there. They were also several times when they were vacuuming up or when they were out there trying to clean up the restroom, that the needles would be, we had open needles in there, and those are needles without covers, which if you start looking at proper PPE or the ways to clean it up, you have to protect yourself from these needles. There's a lot of accidents that could happen from picking it up from anywhere, falling out of your hand. If it sticks into your shoes, you have to be properly prepared for that. I mean, the ends go on. So it very quickly moves from a common cleanup where you go in there and wash out a toilet, or go in there and try to sweep this up, and you just can't touch it at all. And then we have to either pay a contractor in there or make sure that we properly prepare our employees to do it, which like I said, at the time, we were going through some not so friendly conversation, and we're also sitting in a spot where we couldn't blame them for not wanting to do that. We went out there to take some pictures of some line of sight issues that we wanted to communicate with you, which we'll show you here in a second, out at Andrews Park, and actually Wade, our park manager, went out there and took some pictures, and we were just curiously seeing what kind of shape that the bathrooms were, and there was a needle stuck underneath the door when we went out there yesterday to take a picture. If you look at this very first picture that's right here on your left behind this tree, the restrooms are behind that large brick wall. As you can see right there, this is from the northeast side looking in there. So if you're kind of towards the backstops looking back at the restroom, you can see that you can't see anything from basically the left side of the picture on. And so we hop to the other side, and then you kind of lose visual contact from over there. So you start even the side views, you can't really see as you're walking in there who's up against the building, and a lot of times that's where people would hang out or stay for long periods of time. And then if you go directly to the other side, you couldn't see who's coming in or out of the bathrooms. And kind of the same story, just kind of move elsewhere in the park. Once again, your line of sight is not perfect, and then if you're at the splash pad or at the playground, you completely lose line of sight. Added in the Andrews Park Master Plan, because this is eventually where we hope to be at. This was council approved, I think somewhere early 2023. As you can see, this building is not set to, once we start implementing this plan, whenever it happens, Norman Forward, or if there's another way to find funding for this, you can see that building doesn't exist. You have a big pond system there, which actually is helpful for downtown stormwater capacity. We can get in there. And I'll show you a picture here in a second. And once again, I probably didn't put everything in a perfect order, so I'll probably let's see. We go back to this picture. So little bit. Let me get my coordinates. So if you start looking over here, my mouse doesn't show up. So right here in this area is where that pond would be placed, and the park master plan, you do have this man-made water or man-made ditch where at some point in the past that we came in there and diverted water from which would naturally run right down this angle. You can kind of see where you have a land grade change and pond right over here. So originally when this park was made, there was water right here in the middle of the park, and stormwater naturally went this way. Right now we have this ditch. If we were to build a restroom, a brand new restroom in the future, it'd be located in this area right here. You have great line of sight, as we were talking about, from James Garner, even a view from the police station. But before we even start talking about moving the restroom, we would have to, one, clear this out and start working on our new stormwater detention for the park, because our restroom location's right here. And once again, we'll be moving that back where it's actually naturally supposed to be flowing through that area.
Jason?
Yes.
I have a quick question. So, yes, the police department, but also question mark over that as discussions, William, about potentially turning that into housing, and the police department having a different station or potentially stations.
Well, even if it's apartments or buildings, once again, police are not the only people that can, that it's important, or they're just a small portion of, if you're talking about a line of sight, better line of sight. If you have an apartment there, even better. You have a whole lot of people looking at that. And when you have eyes on that, that deters things, and you have the ability to have somebody down 911 or Good Samaritan Acts or things like that. And it also takes down the likelihood of somebody vandalizing something, even though once you get inside of a bathroom, you do have privacy and you could do different things.
Mayor Holman?
So in the master plan that we approved, there's 3 new bathrooms.
Correct.
In that southeast corner, and then in the middle there, and then on the north side by the.
Correct. So we start looking at here, 16 is our restroom indicator. So we have a 16 right here, which is a restroom, a 16 right here, and then another restroom up there.
And all of them would be ADA compliant.
Yes, anything we build now is ADA compliant.
So that also means the transit center's bathroom is ADA compliant?
Yes.
Okay. Any other questions?
Another, and we will get back to the point where our central library restrooms are open to the public with wonderful hours of access. That has been a real challenge just from the resources that are always provided at our library that have been offline during our exercise to get the building restored and buttoned up watertight. In the not too distant future, we will get that facility back operational, and it'll add additional resources for the whole community. City Hall, Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, public restrooms available. And that library was it had much greater hours of access than City Hall. So.
I would also just add, because we had mentioned it earlier in passing, it might be good to get some signage out there to let people know what buildings are available. And then when we get to the end of this, we'll talk about what we should do with that bathroom. Mayor Holman?
On that too, just when if someone is renting out the pavilion or whatever to do a party at Andrews Park, that whatever disclaimer says, and bathrooms can be found at the police department.
Yes.
And maybe if somebody rents out the pavilion on a Sunday for a birthday party for the kids, could we have something where we could work out where the restrooms at the police department are available for that, and then they're closed after it's over? Or I don't know. If they rent it out for 2 hours, the lobby of the police department's open. Close them when they're fit. I don't know, something like that, so that if people we charge people to rent.
Yeah, it's very minimal.
I mean,
what we charge.
But if people are coming to the city and saying, we want to use the park, what's the process? And then we say, well, okay, there's no bathrooms in the park right now, the police department's across the street. And then if it's a Sunday, figuring out some way that
we can definitely make sure we place that disclaimer out there that there's limited time for when restrooms are available. Now, most of our events that we do have out there, and it's completely different from a family gathering that you go rent a pavilion at, they know about the restroom, lack of restrooms, and a porta potty company will come out there and put temporary restrooms for a short period of time, as long as it's like a weekend.
Okay. Yeah, if it was just a kid's birthday party for 2 hours out there and they ask about, or maybe they don't even ask, we just say just so you know, there's no bathrooms in the park that are available.
We'll make sure to clean that up, and I'm guessing from that.
Maybe add that as an add-on that, hey, we can have a porta potty put there for your birthday party if you pay X amount,
Yeah, we can do that, and I think that might be something that we have on our website right now. Maybe we, not necessarily on our main website. If we go out to our rental website, it might mention that there's a restroom available, and I saw that on the Facebook post that was made last weekend. We probably need to make sure that doesn't indicate that there's a restroom available.
Are we good to move on to parks with restrooms? Yes? Okay.
So we're going through here and trying to put this list together real quick and make sure that everybody knows what parks have restrooms, what's kind of our indicator for restrooms, because we do get a lot of questions, not necessarily all about Andrews, but some neighborhood parks. Typically, to make a park eligible for a restroom, one, you have to have the amount of people that needs to come to there. So typically, we do not put bathrooms or restrooms into what we would call our traditional neighborhood park, because that's within walking distance of your home. If you need to use the restroom, it's probably just better if you walk back home and go. But some of these are all this list right here are what we consider our community parks. Some of them are what I call a hybrid park, or that are really categorized as neighborhood park, but probably are somewhat used for a lot of events. And we do have different things that happen out there, and we kind of communicate that as a hybrid park. Andrews right now has 0 open restrooms. We do have planned for 3 later. Saxon Park has 0 restrooms. We do have one funded, whenever we get around to building that, we're kind of waiting for some infrastructure to get to that part so that we don't have to pay for the infrastructure upgrades to the area that we want to build it at. Griffin Park, we have 4 restrooms inside of a sports complex. We have one restroom that's eventually planned. Hopefully at some point, we'll have a future playground out there on the northeast side of the park that connects to a nice ADA accessible playground and close out there to a dog park. Reese Park has 5 restrooms that are inside the sports complex. We have one funded. This bathroom should have been built by now, but we did have one design, went out to bid, and it came in almost $120,000 over what we had budgeted. So we had to go back to the drawing board, and that's not even close enough where we can VE that building to get built. That was almost 100% more than what we had budgeted for. So we had to go back and to the drawing board to get have a complete new plan for that. Northeast Lions has a restroom. Rotary has a restroom. Lions Park has a restroom. Legacy Park has a restroom. Little Axe, we do consider that having a restroom. In the future, we would like to have a permanent restroom out there instead of right now. Those are porta potties, and they do get cleaned regularly and stay pretty accessible to the public. Never hear a whole lot of negative feedback about those. Falls Lakeview is one of those unique parks. It's technically, it's out in Ward 5, and Ward 5 always asks, why don't we have more community parks? Is you don't have a whole lot of planned neighborhood parks out, or neighborhood development out there, and that's how we get parkland gifted back to the city. Is it has to be a neighborhood development, and there's a formula that goes with so many residents are going to live in that. It's how much acreage you get back there. And Ward 5 being extremely rural, there's not traditional neighborhoods built out there. So we do have what we would call a not your so typical neighborhood park out there, but there's no neighborhoods anywhere close to that park. There's a school close to that park. We used to have a restroom out in that park, but that one was so frequently vandalized that we removed that bathroom. So that's just kind of the list of parks with restrooms that we do have in our community. Kind of went over through some of these solutions that hopefully we can check the box. We already got that door repaired out there. We're going to be coming back. You'll see sooner than later a future capital project to replace that iron sewer line with a 6-inch PVC line that leads back to the sewer, and we want an industrial strength grinder that will grind up anything that gets flushed down that toilet. These are just some of the solutions, not necessarily what we're asking for, but demolition and replacement of the restroom building, and I'll show you some pictures of these here in a second. This might not be only a solution for Andrew's Park, but a lot of our bathrooms are out in the public, because we do have vandalism everywhere. Every single one of our restrooms do get vandalized at a certain point. We looked out there and we found this QR system that is becoming more and more frequent for those that have public restrooms, where you go up there and you have an app on your phone, and there's a QR code that you can scan, get the app on your phone, and then it will send you a temporary QR code, and you put your phone up to that and it scans that QR code. One, that lets us know who's in the restroom. If it does get vandalized, it lets us know the amount of time that somebody's in there. So if we have somebody that's staying there more than longer than 15 to 20 minutes, it can send us alert. Usually that's when something's happening. It also can have communication with whoever's using that restroom about, hey, you're out of toilet paper, there's no soap. If there is a vandalism or your bathroom's dirty, it can all be communicated through this communication system. There's this thing called Portland Loos, which I think that we've all discussed, and I'll show you that here in a second. Restroom trailers. So when you start talking about your Portland Loo, this is a picture of what a Portland Loo would look like. Has solar lights in there. The only thing that you really need to have for this restroom is the infrastructure of water and sewer connected to it. They will deliver this to you on a truck in that shape or form. You just have to be ready to connect it to everything you need to. Depending on what features you want in that restroom, that can run between $200,000 and $250,000 delivered to you. So we would estimate, probably guessed if you want to get water and sewer hooked up, depending where you're probably putting that in, it'd probably be an additional $50,000 or so to get that water and sewer hooked up into that. This is kind of a cool one when we're trying to find, at a certain point, we found these QR codes. It's through a park website, or we got emailed to us and then we couldn't find it. So we were doing Google searches trying to find more restrooms this QR code where you went up there and scanned it. We eventually found it again. But this is one of the ones that popped up. It's kind of the same theory. And we're even looked to see if they actually share the QR technology. They don't, but you can buy this restroom. It's a portable restroom. We can take it, move it wherever we want to. It's ran on solar power. It's actually more of kind of like your temporary toilet. Everything's collected on site, and then we eventually take the waste and somebody either comes picks it up, or we dispose of it in a proper area. But this same process, you would go up to this, there's an app that you can download or scan that QR code to get inside that restroom. It lets you in. Same thing, it lets us know who's using the restroom. If somebody's in there for long periods of time, that's probably an indicator that something not that we want to happen inside that restroom. And you can tell us the cleanliness, or if we need soaps or toilet paper or paper towels or whatever. There's this. This is kind of this little QR code thing that we eventually found. It's called Good to Go, which I think is kind of a genius name for your app system. This is one that I think that it's kind of cool, and if we want to go down this road in the future, I mean, I think there's a lot of benefits to it. We know who's using the restroom, once again, who's in there, and we can hopefully get enough input from our users to keep our restrooms in a better shape than what they currently are in.
And in thinking about, is this a barrier? Does this prevent folks from being able to access that public infrastructure? And I think our PACE team would verify that pretty much everybody we encounter these days has a cell phone. That's pretty common.
Quite a few of them do. We have those that don't, but even CityCare has moved to calling ahead to make a reservation for the shelter, so there are phones out there. I don't know, the scanning part may be an issue for some folks, because some folks still come in and use like the police department lobby to make the reservation for CityCare, so it may be couldn't tell you 100%.
Something for us to figure out how to solve.
But if they're going into the police department to call, they can also use the bathroom there, so. Interesting. We had also talked about children and how if they don't have one, the benefit being a parent or other adult goes with them and scans it in.
I'm glad you brought that up, council member. Yes, this is, I think that's a good thing. A lot of times when you have an incident, a lot of times it's because that child is going on their own to the park, or that child is a parent is not paying attention on their phone, or they just go to the restroom. This would force the parent to go to the restroom with your child, which would provide more supervision and hopefully a lot less likely for an incident to happen.
And then I was going to ask, how much is the throne?
We haven't checked into that. That we were just surfing the website, and we know that's available. We were kind of going through here in a fast and furious pace since you asked for us to do this, and we didn't get to catch all that. We have an appointment set up with the QR code company, which is this one, next week, and we can we can contact Throne and get a hold of them and set up an appointment and find out how much those are too.
I would be curious about that, since demolition of the current structure was an option. My other thought about that is we won't have a public library online for a while, and there's the issue of Sundays. Something like this could be a temporary solution for Andrews, and I could also see it being transported to other parks or other events. If we're having a 4th of July celebration, you just need extra bathroom capacity. So I could see it, yes, temporary for Andrew, but in the long run, potentially added to our assets.
Even in that Andrews Park temporary solution, to be able to take advantage of better lines of sight, where do you put it? we know we don't wanna put it where the current structure is. And, we were kinda in discussions about what steps could we be taking between now and the ultimate build out of the Andrews Park Master Plan in terms of that stormwater infrastructure, where the current restroom would be right smack in the middle of a hole we could dig. But we could identify a spot or a couple of different spots depending on events where such a piece of infrastructure could be installed, and still, get it ADA accessible, which we know the current are not. But yeah, near sidewalks, near parking, near other amenities in the park that would really improve the availability of that asset.
Councilmember Gainsberg?
With this also and everything, do you think then that our porta potty, companies, like one like this, like we could maybe get them back on a contract and they would agree to come to this knowing that it's gonna probably be a lot better experience?
Yeah, I think
Because you said this had to be taken out by somebody.
we've had a situation where for Norman Music Festival that, I mean, they're fast and furious and getting contracts with every single porta potty company in probably a 2 or 3 state area to dump off toilets for a weekend there. We had a contractor or one of the porta potties that stayed there for almost a month afterwards, and we were getting complaints by a company that was or one of the local business owners down there. Is like, can you at least, if you can't get them out by our business, can you at least clean them out? And it costs a little bit more, but we did find a company that would finally come out there and clean them out, and then we locked them back up until they got picked up. But yes, I think that it's possible to contract with a company to come do that.
And Your Honor, I'm looking at the design and we're seeing two sides. If I design that, we would design the ability to service it from the outside with connections like an RV. So, I would love to get more information on that. That may be a really easy thing to service.
Yeah, you would
from
have
one
a
of those companies' perspectives.
RV plug-in where they just hook up and just
Yep,
suck
draw right
out. And then it looks like that one there would be pretty, like they do already, kind of spray out, sanitize and go kind of deal.
And once again, the big advantage to this is that it's mobile. So once we solve a restroom issue somewhere else and we have another restroom issue in another part of the city, we can grab this and move it.
I like the idea of, I feel at least if I go up to something, scan my name on it and go in, that already holds me to a different accountability that, okay, Big Brother knows I was here, so maybe you're less likely to make those, lacking judgment, hopefully, in there and stuff, so.
And maybe you're reporting if there's soap or.
Exactly, to
paper
get that
towels.
quicker,
Yeah,
for parents to be able to report that right away.
Yeah.
One, two, and like I said, there's a, one of the things is, if somebody's in there for 30, 40 minutes and it's a public restroom, that it's blazing hot in the summer, it's really cold in the winter, there's something going on. Some person's either trying to sleep.
Medical
or
emergency.
Medical emergency, it could be mischievous things going on. I mean, we'll probably get a text message about it and then we can communicate with somebody at the police department to go check it out for us.
And I would add, I guess it would be good to know if some of these have like changing stations or the potential for them. When I was looking at the American Restroom Association, I was kind of looking at what they advocate for, which is safe, clean public restrooms. They also look at the ADA demographic, but then the parents with infants and small children, elderly people, and accessibility and mobility issues that they might have, so.
To add to that, I think our new restroom design, we're starting with Saxon Park instead of going with our traditional men's and women's side of the restroom. We're looking at basically 4 individual restrooms, and there's not going to be any sex attached to those. So I mean, and hopefully all those restrooms have availability to go in there and change your child's diaper. My plan is, James, one of them to be a little bit bigger in there and include an adult changing table.
It's like a family one.
And room. And to us, there's advantage to this is because now we're not putting in these restrooms, we're not putting up dividers, which are the easiest thing to go and break off the wall. We also can go in there and if needed, if something crazy happens, hopefully have a big drain in the middle of the floor and pressure wash everything down. We don't have to worry about not hitting a certain area with that or worry about spray back because now we have all these weird angles because it's just a big square.
Can we go back to the slide about Andrews?
Yes. This one, the solutions?
Yes. I would like to ask this committee what your appetite is on the potential for demolition and replacement, knowing that the master plan envisions a stormwater solution, and we could actually be advancing stormwater on that front if we were to demolish that in the near future. And Mayor Holman.
I mean, I'm definitely okay. We don't have to wait for Norman Forward 2 to start implementing the master plan for
Correct.
Andrews Park. So that would just help get it done faster if or when voters do approve that. So I'm definitely not opposed to moving forward with the demo of that building. I think you're mentioning to build the new one, new one. One of them is where that stormwater channel is. The other
That
one,
man-made ditch, yes.
yeah, and the other one would be on the north side of the park. So maybe one of those two we could build first, maybe, I don't know, around the new amphitheater.
I think that one might be slightly more complicated because I think both of those, one's attached to a classroom, and the other one's attached to a stage. So,
Yeah,
It's a lot more structure. Needs to go
so
on.
I would imagine that those would be quite a bit more expensive to build out. I would try to, I think, I was even had a conversation with Chris Mattingly before we got in here and started talking about the possibility of starting to dig these detention ponds. One, we have to get them designed because we can't just go out there and figure out capacity and how the proper way is going to drain, how we're going to detain water, how we're going to release water before a storm. I mean, we need somebody that's definitely smarter than a Parks and Rec guy to tell us all that. But I think that some of this work, at least to a certain level, that can be self-performed by the city to some of that. We can go out there and oftentimes start digging that pond. We have the ability to do that work. We have the ability to go out there and survey while we're doing the work. And I mean, yes, that would be the first thing that we need to do is try to clear out that pond and readjust. I would put the pond naturally back where water should be flowing, not what way it's flowing now.
well, I'm definitely good with getting the ball rolling on the Andrews Park stuff, and that's the first step that we can do.
Yeah.
Or steps.
And two, when we're talking about if we did demo that building today, the attempt would be trying to salvage as much stone from that. Even though it's not WPA stone over there, it's pretty dang close to it, and we would probably use that on one of the other structures that we would build.
That was gonna be my question, what was salvageable of that? And that structure was from 1972?
When do you
the
think the
restaurant
original
history.
structure was built, James?
Well, the history, there was sort of a bathhouse type thing. It's like a changing area that we think was put in there in like in the 40s in the style of the castle buildings over by the skate. So those older buildings in the channel and the amphitheater are on the National Register. That building is not. It was sort of built in homage to those, and then it was renovated in the 70s, put that mansard roof on it, put the outside bathrooms on it as well. So yeah, it's probably the original structure was from the 40s, we think, and then the renovation and the bathroom additions were in the 70s.
When our population was so small
Yeah.
compared to where we are
It's a
today.
community build. They all showed up and we did a barn
AV
raising.
accessibility wasn't a thing at the time. I mean, it was built to meet the need at the time.
When-
And obviously it worked for many, many, many years.
And when we built the rock shelter up in the corner, we actually tried to find that stone, and that quarry closed long ago. So salvaging that rock would be a good thing, because if you want to, it's hard to find something that matches. We did a pretty good job on the rock shelter, but it'd be great to stockpile that. We did the same thing at Northeast Lions, by the way. We saved all the rock from that one and we used it when we rebuilt some things. So we always try and collect salvage what we can, but some of it's just,
Yeah, Councilmember Gainsbury?
Just, like, probably PD would even agree or whatever, and the concerned parent, if we're not gonna have that bathroom there, I'd like to have it tore down and gone with and saved and whatever, just for line of sight now to increase at what we already have, where we don't have that hidden area that somebody could be hiding, lurking in or whatever, and being up to no good in and everything. Police can drive by there and see it all the way out to the field almost in and everything behind there and stuff like that
So
also.
in our police report, it was actually 2019 that explosive device was put in there, and I was talking to Chief Foster about it, and they have a camera that actually faces the park. I guess it's on the police station, and they never saw the person walk in, but they saw the person walk out. And of course, you're going away from it, but somehow they were able to get inside there and without being seen, but not leaving. So I mean, and that person's going away at this point. You know, it was.
Councilmember Dixon?
You mentioned that the master plan's been approved by council. Has any of that been funded?
No.
I think
Well, we have not asked for it. Have we asked any of the projects to be funded yet? I think one of our goals is we were trying to finish off a few things at Reeves, including that we had a demo. I don't know when you want to talk about a horror film could have been filmed at that bathroom that was at Reeves Park. It was scary, but we knocked that down, and we were hoping to build it pretty quick. But man, I don't know if it was our design that we had or if it was just the cost of construction at the time. It came in, and I think we had $350,000 budgeted for it, and it came in at like $470. It was crazy.
the master plan, I think our initial cost estimate was about $26 million
Yeah, we
to
think-
build what we saw.
Personal opinion, once again, I'm wrong on every single thing I guess about, but we think that's,
I'll talk to your wife.
yeah. Councilmember, but we think that that's extremely high. That was going through a phase where, right after COVID, when that was cost estimated, and architects were getting burned at the time. They don't want to be wrong. I'm not going to be wrong price. But yeah, we think it's a little bit cheaper.
And this, just kind of a council conversation in terms of our ability to, if it is your desire for us to settle in with, landscape architectural type people and to understand in the master plan, we look at the aerial. Jason, do we have an idea about what those future restroom structures look like? Or is it more generic than that? We don't know the architectural style of number 16.
We have a general idea of the style, so when we hired for this, it was a little bit backwards from what they did at Scissortail. I think that the main architects at Scissortail were hired to build structures, and then they hired a landscape architect as a secondary. We did it backwards. We hired a landscape architect as our primary architect, and then they went and hired an architect to be it's kind of a secondary. But we have the same architect that for our structures that built Scissortail Park, and they were mentioning that this would be much like with subtle differences of the same things that you have in the stage and restroom buildings up at Scissortail Park.
If we have grades, and I don't know how much topography will change. So if council said there are components of this we would like to advance, and it may make that Norman Forward 2 question an even easier sell. We're going to advance these pieces. We're going to need Norman Forward 2 to help finish this off. If you knew what grade a future restroom building need to be set at, so heaven forbid, we build it first and 5 years from now we're tearing it down because it's 3 feet too low or 2 feet too high. I think there are pieces that we could advance as part of the capital program that provide necessary amenities sooner than maybe Norman Forward 2.
Mayor Holman?
Yeah, I'd say, if we're able to get that channel moved, and then we can build that restroom next to the skate park, which is already a real busy part of the park, and it's busy until nighttime, every night. So a bunch of eyes already on it. And it would seem we could probably build that one without it interfering with anything else, because we've already built the skate park right there, right? So.
Yeah, and so when you start talking about this, your spoils from all this dirt right here ends up being this right there. That's where we would have to make sure that we're pretty close on. Is
This
this
big berm.
berm
So I
right
was thinking
here.
we probably couldn't build
Yes.
that restroom or the other one yet. That one on the corner would be the one.
Would make
we could build
sense.
To the
first.
manager's point, by the skate park, that's the skate park that we have now, and that restroom is right by, it won't be a whole lot of grade change there.
Yeah.
So if we can, but we gotta get rid of the channel, that's the thing that grade has to change. So we need to bring all that up to that level, and that's where we build the
That
restroom.
That may be a real logical element for us to advance. Just the redirection and the development of that stormwater solution. And it provides the opportunity for that permanent restroom structure to be built. So I'm glad we're having this conversation now in budget development. If we need to allocate some resources to see how much of that work we think we could tackle internally, I know we can dig some holes.
And we can fill a ditch.
Yep, so this may be a great first piece, step one of that master plan implementation, and we'll see how much of that we can do internally with staff, I mean, when mowing season slows down, that could be great.
The demo of the building won't cost us anything. I will say the number one thing that our park maintenance crew loves to do is to demo stuff, so. We'll probably have people like tripping over themselves to get into heavy machinery to knock that building down.
So, it sounds like the direction is some signage to let people know what's available now. Some point on our agenda, or it won't have to come back through like a study session or anything to demo it.
No.
It
We
will
just had to
be-
file. I think, I mean, we got enough here that I think that we're comfortable with it. Usually that's either a park director or a city manager direction.
And it's
anyways.
not a budget thing,
Yeah.
so we
We
don't
don't
need
have
to
to approve a contract or anything.
Correct. And the opportunity for us to bring you back that throne solution and the QR code solution, we'll put those on an upcoming agenda as soon as we got.
Yeah, it could be
Detailed
Baca or
information.
Oversight.
Yeah, we can probably have that in the next 30 or 60 days.
Okay, sounds good.
To help quiet the Facebook chatter and everything, would Tiffany be able to like send out some kind of communication out there about where the bathrooms are located also and everything like that, that reaches more people instantly rather than them having to come to the park and see it for themselves?
And I think, Your Honor, to that point, as we zero in on maybe that throne solution, to be able to say, here's what you should be looking forward to. More park amenities coming your way and ADA accessibility. There's some good positive steps that can come from that.
We heard your concerns, here you are.
Yeah, I would love to file that under civic IQ on this. That's a good idea. All right, are there any more questions or comments? No? Okay, well, thank you so much, Jason.
Thank you for putting together
You're
a
making
real
our
quick,
job easy.
Jason.
We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
It's awesome.
This meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.